Hey everybody, this is Cromar with TGN. I'm here today to bring you some more Rift coverage during the Beta 6 event. Today we're looking at the Cleric class, the Druid. My selection here is Druid, Warden, and Justicar, and I'll go over in a bit why I made those selections. But first, let's see what it looks like to play one. I have cast a self buff, it's a shield, a couple pulling spells, getting close, and start with melee abilities. The Druid is a melee class, but has some ranged abilities as well, mostly for pulling. I got stunned. There we go. Or was that lag? I couldn't tell. I can only see half my screen because of my mic in front of my face. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. So that was killing a level 22 mob. Let me try another one without that little hiccup, and we'll see if that looks better. Just rooted me in place. Alright, so now we're... I miss one of my biggest abilities, of course. Notice I'm not really taking hardly any damage at all. And I didn't even cast my self-buff either. Alright, there we go. So there you go. So that's a simple thing. You have about 5 or 6 different attack abilities that you cycle through. Not even including the pulling abilities. Oh, I have a ranged silence too. I'm going to silence this guy because he's a caster. And he decided to keep going anyway. Well, good for him. I used the silence on him before and it worked. That's weird. Dodge, dodge, dodge. I miss my purge. From whatever the hell class that was that had purge. I forgot. Come on, buddy. God, these dodges is crazy. Normally it's not like that. Normally it is absolutely not like that. Let's see someone who does not have that dodge buff. There we go. So, Scorcher. This may be the guy that I silenced earlier. This is probably it. So yeah, this guy, as you see, is just melting away pretty efficiently. And at the end, I have multiple options to heal myself up. Quite a few different options, as a matter of fact. Silence him. Nope. No spells for you. Sorry, buddy. Ooh, that was a good hit. And that's it for him. Alright, so anyway, that's enough of that. You get up to this safe spot where nothing attacks me from up here. I was sitting up here for a while at AFK, so that's pretty good. Now, when you look at the Druid, the recommended here is Shaman Justicar. I don't recommend that. Let me show you the Shaman. Oops. All you get for Shaman, for free, you get this buff, which gives you some extra damage on your attacks, but it's very small. Then you get a normal attack, which is terrible. This buff is pretty nice. Some extra dexterity gives you a very small amount of crit, but still, you know, it's pretty nice. Lightning Hammer, decent attack ability. Faded Blow, decent attack ability. So yeah, these are pretty good. Okay, here's a problem though. By putting points into Shaman and getting extra crit chance and whatnot, I have to give up Justicar. And Justicar and Druid go together so well that I don't want to do that. If I did get Shaman, it would be only for the 0 point, the free abilities, and they're, you know, okay and useless. On the other hand, Warden, which I got instead, gives you, here's a range ability. I don't really use this that often, but I can see how it could be useful. Someone running away. And most importantly, just a really fantastic heal over time. And this is the main reason I got the Warden, was for this one spell. It's unlikely that I'll ever see points put into this tree, so I just really want this one spell, honestly. It's really good. Other options in preview mode here. For healing, if you went the Sentinel route, you can get an instant heal, but not a heal over time. With a heal over time, you can precast it, and you don't have to cast it during the fight, which is pretty nice. With the Purifier, you get another shield on top of the one that comes with Druid. So I went for the Warden, but you know, you can make a case for the shield as well. Now, I mentioned that these classes go together, or these souls rather go together, Justicar and Druid. Well, here's what it comes down to. Justicar has this passive ability. Well, you know, it's a self buff rather, called Cavalier. Ignore the second half of that paragraph. But what this does is it gives your life-based abilities, your Cleric life-based damaging abilities, the ability to grant Conviction. And Conviction is a resource that's special to Justicars. Now keep in mind, this does not say the Justicar's abilities, it says the all Cleric life-based abilities. So if I look at a Shaman, it's like physical, what's that, air. So there's no life for the Shaman. There's a little bit of life for the Purifier and the Kabbalist, especially the Purifier. Or not, I'm sorry, not Purifier, I meant to say Inquisitor. Excuse me. The Inquisitor does life damage with Bolt of Judgment. And where's the other one? Sanctioned Heretic. So the Inquisitor can take advantage of Cavalier as well. But the Druid in particular has this one right here, Eruption of Life. And this is a great, really powerful ability that I use every time it comes up, every 9 seconds. And it generates that conviction. It generates conviction points via Cavalier. Now, in addition, the Shaman, as their primary attack, uses this Crushing Blow ability, and it's really important to their rotation because it uses, with this talent here, it resets the cooldown of Massive Blow. Long story short, your main rotation involves like kind of alternating these abilities, and that means that you don't have any free global cooldowns to use the Justicar main ability, Strike of Judgment, for life damage. Druid doesn't have that problem because the Fervent Strike here is just crap. You never use this ability. You can replace it completely with Strike of Judgment, which does life damage and generates conviction points. So between Strike of Judgment and Eruption of Life, you can generate all the conviction points you need. Okay, you say, enough talking about that. What do conviction points actually do? Conviction points fuel your Doctrine and your Precept abilities. And Doctrine and Precepts are something unique to Justicar. They do just a wide variety of things. The first Doctrine you get is just an instant heal, and I absolutely love it. It costs 1 conviction, and your convictions stack up to 4, by the way. So before I get any more complicated, let's just see what a conviction looks like. So I'm going to start with a ranged spell, Bolt of Radiance, that generates its life damage, so it generates conviction. And I'm going to start hitting my... something missing. Abilities here, and watch it tick up. It's going to tick up to 4 eventually. There we go. And it's going to stop. And then I can use a self-heal. I just use it over and over again until I use up all my conviction. So I have other abilities. I'm just concentrating this so you can see the conviction in action. So at this low level, you really only have the self-heal, but the self-heal is very, very nice. And as you get higher level, you get access to other abilities. When I'm using my 2 life abilities, that's Strike of Judgment, Interruption of Life, I build Conviction. I don't like to spend the Conviction. A lot of times I wait, save it for a rainy day, because it does have a nice long duration, so I can just keep it up from battle to battle. And if I see my life getting low, I just use it after the battle. If I have like 75% or less health, I use it a couple times, get up to full. It's just a really nice resource. So in addition to Doctrine of Bliss, and in addition to Healing Spray, I also have one more heal, Balm of the Woods, which is also usable on allies, and it heals instantly on a 15-second cooldown. So another powerful ability. I use it every now and then. Not a big deal. So in addition to those abilities I mentioned, well, actually, let me start with Eruption of Life here and explain what it does, because I just kind of glossed over it. In addition to doing life damage right away, it puts a debuff on them, so every time you hit, the next 3 times you hit them, they take extra damage on top of that. And notice it says every time the enemy is hit, so it works for your allies too. So when you put it on there, your allies will pretty much use up the debuff right away. Either way, as long as the enemy is being attacked, you get a ton of damage. I mean, if you just add that up in your head, that's a lot of damage for one ability. So this is definitely used every time. Another really powerful ability you have is Bombard. This is a ranged one. This is what I use to pull in addition to Bolt of Radiance. I use Bombard here. It does earth damage instead of life. But it just does a ton of damage. I mean, there's this great talent here. Savage Force increases Bombard and Eruption of Life by 30%. And since those are kind of your bread and butter abilities, that's really nice. Finally, there's still a couple more abilities that they're a little less effective, but they're still part of your arsenal here. Trickster's Spirit just hits for some physical damage. It's a little bit more powerful than your Strike of Judgment, and it's on a cooldown though, so you can't spam it. And it just puts a debuff, causing their damage to be reduced. I mean, in grinding, this is totally not even noticeable, but in a group, your tank will really appreciate that. And then we have Combined Effort, where I hit, and what it does is increases the attack power and spell power of the pet. Oh, I don't even have my pet out. Wow. Okay. Yeah, the pet is completely useless. Let me just talk about the pet a bit, actually. The pet is the fairy. It's the only pet you get until level 31. You get the satyr here, and I can't find anybody who's actually tried this, so I don't know how good it is. But the fairy is horrible. The fairy is worse than useless. It actually gets in the way. It it actually like pulls ads and stuff. Like I'll be running by and the Fairy will just run off and attack something, and I have it on defensive. So here we go. I'm just going to attack this thing. Another eruption. So spamming. I didn't even put up my oak shield. There you go. So the Fairy didn't contribute anything. What it does is it casts this incredibly weak Fey Blast every 2.5 seconds for almost no damage, and it also casts a heal over time, which is just much weaker than the heal over time that I have already. I mean, like, not even comparable. So I cast Healing Spray on myself, and it's actually out healing this enemy's damage by itself. The fairy spell's not even on me. The fairy spell just doesn't do anything. Plus, the fairy doesn't really cast it. I have to cast it manually half the time. So yeah, that's a stupid fairy. If you were to get talents to buff the fairy, you've got this one here, Spirit of the Wood. Your Fervent Strike, which is this crappy basic ability, has a 30% chance to make your pets, but who cares? Sends the Cleric's pet into a rage, increasing their outgoing damage from nothing to nothing times 2. And yeah, that's about it. So other than, your pet is pretty much just garbage and a waste of space. It's too bad there's just no pet class for the Cleric, because Fairy doesn't count. Okay, now we'll look at the second half of this paragraph. Cavalier also increases the Cleric's attack power by their spell power, physical crit by spell crit, melee hit by spell focus. So what this means is you can equip all spell damage stats on your items, and while you have Cavalier up, it will grant you equivalent physical attack. Shamans have an ability that does the exact same thing, but they don't stack. And when you have the Fairy out, it gives you the same bonus that also doesn't stack. So there's really no need to use the Fairy or the Shaman's version. Just use Cavalier. Now, I do enjoy the Druid. I think that it's the most effective of the melee classes that I've tried so far for Cleric, which isn't saying much because I've really only tried the Shaman. But I think it's okay. I mean, I like it a lot better than the Shaman. It seems more involved. There's more abilities to press. You have a ranged ability that's really powerful, Bombard, which is good. I don't know. It's not too exciting. It's not as fun as the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor is much more fun, but it is not melee, and it's not too survivable. The Druid has excellent survivability. So the conclusions here with the Druid anyway, not the best, better than the Shaman. If you're level as Inquisitor. Forget about the other classes right now. And that does it for the DPS classes. I've covered all the offensive Cleric classes. I've got Justicar and the healers left after this. So, thanks for watching. This is Crowmar with TGN.